I am gonna wrap up my reads for August and wrap up POC-a-thon and Mythathon and talk about my Reading Rush Redemption with these August readathons that I did. Although I didn't get the full redemption I wanted, I redeemed myself enough. These are all the books that were on my TBR for August, and this is all that I've really read. Mainly because I've been reading Battle Royale, and that is a 600-page book. I haven't been reading as consistently as I'd have liked to, but I'm enjoying this book. It's just so good. I've enjoyed it. I'm still like in the middle of it, but I will continue reading it into September, and I started the first two chapters and more happy than not. I enjoy it so far. The title of the second chapter in this book is called A Trade Date, and I was kind of like, Alex Silvera, what you know about trade? And he didn't know anything about trade. He wasn't talking about the kind of trade that I was thinking of. In the black gay community, trade is a lot different from what he was talking about here. Trade is more like, it was just different. His trade in this book was cute. So I'm looking forward to continuing this book. I have liked what I've read so far, and I've heard great things, so I know it's got to be good. So I will try. I don't know if I'll read it in September, but I am going to read it very soon. I started Animosity, and I'm kind of like almost halfway through it. It's so good. It's so good because it's like, I suggest people read this. It's such a great story because she is a great protagonist. I'm so glad I read this book for the prompt of a protagonist who's basically just being a feminine but strong character. And Jessie is that strong feminine character. I love her for that. And for the reading rush, I was going to use this book for the prompt of read a book with a non-human protagonist. And Sandor is that non-human protagonist, and Jessie is that feminine but strong protagonist, and like they're so good together. This is such a great book. The premise of like animals gaining consciousness and like just becoming aware, and their reactions to becoming aware, like you could kind of get a sense of what their reactions are by like just the cover itself and even the back cover. But it's just like, yo, this is such a great story. It's so good. It's like even like I wasn't even expecting to be so emotionally stirred. It's just like the connection, the relationships. I'm just like, yo, this book is so good. Ah, it's so good. I could like read it again. I'm telling you, like comic books and graphic novels are like really great sources of getting like that emotional resonance and connection that you need. And you almost kind of see like, oh, it's so simple. It's just pictures and some dialogue, and that's what like graphic novels is, just so juvenile and it's so easy. But it's like, no, they're tackling really deep and interesting things and using so much emotion and connection and relatability in these stories that are kind of a little fantastical, that are just like so easy to consume, and they can easily just go in and be consumed and not even make an emotional impact, and you just kind of go through this read through the story and you're done. But it's like I'm reading this and I'm just like so immersed and engrossed, and it's not even just the pictures, but it's like the combination of the pictures with the dialogue, the illustrations with the dialogue are just making this book so amazing. It's so good. And it's like just the connect, like the emotional connection off rip, that first page. They did that. Margaret Bennett and Rafael de la Torre, they are doing their fucking jobs, bitch. And I stand. Like this book, I stand, and I recommend people definitely check it out and read it. It is so good. Animosity, I'm reading year one. I think there are some spin-offs to it. I think like Animosity Evolution. I have to go check those out at the comic book store, but definitely it is worth the read. It's so good. I enjoyed it so much. I'm enjoying it so much. I still have to finish read it, but it's so good so far right now. And I read the 4 agreements for POC-a-thon for reading a poetry or nonfiction book. And I'm so glad this is nonfiction. It would kind of be considered self-help, but it's more personal development and it's more like tapping into, and it may be a little bit new age. One of his taglines is a practical guide to personal freedom. And I do feel like after reading it, it does kind of, for me personally, it lives up to that, being a guide to personal freedom. I definitely have to reread this again and annotate it because I did not take the time to annotate it. I just kept reading straight through because I was also kind of like, I need to read all these books in 2 weeks. But I was also kind of like, I also need to like really just read through this book and then come back and I'll just annotate it and take out all of the parts, all the passages and quotes that really resonate and connect with me. I'm definitely at the moment trying to practice in my day-to-day life the four agreements, keeping them in mind, and I find them helping me a lot throughout the day. It's not easy because with these agreements you're like, I have to like face this world and all the things that, like, for lack of a better word, trigger me or make me feel like uncomfortable. I have to like stand in it and deal with it. And I do feel like this book, it has helped me deal with them. Because of my maturity, I feel like me reading this book now compared to when I initially read it when I was younger, I'm able to better connect to the material but also implement it in my life and actively implement it and be able to stand in the discomfort of trying to implement it into my daily life. Each day I'm like trying to implement these, and sometimes, especially when it comes to not taking things personally and even making assumptions about people, and even more being impeccable with my word, it's sometimes I always have to like check myself and be like, don't take this personally because this isn't about you. It's about that other person, and or you're just trying to like get yourself worked up and angry about something that has nothing to do with you, and then you're feeling bad about it, but the other person, they don't know anything about it, they don't care. Or even if they are directing something at you, half the time it's like, it's not even about you, it's about their reaction to you. Their reaction to you doesn't have to affect you because at the end of the day, if they're not directly coming for you and you have to defend yourself, you can just let that shit go, let it roll off your back and keep it moving, because they could stand there and stew in their anger and use their saltiness to flavor their stew. You don't have to worry about it. You just keep it moving, keep it pumping, keep doing your thing, because like they don't matter. Like you just can't take that personally. Since I've reread this book and really been trying to implement the four agreements, I do feel a bit of a change, but I feel like I need to stay consistent with this on long term so that I can really see the long term benefits of implementing these agreements into my day-to-day daily life. I don't think it's like a cure-all and makes me like a better person, like this super amazing perfect person, but it is making things a lot easier on my mental health in day-to-day, kind of implementing these agreements and understanding that I'm doing my best every day to just not take things personally, to not make assumptions, to be impeccable with my words, so that I'm having better relationships with people and I'm more open to other people. But I definitely was so glad I read this. I have to shout out the POC-a-thon for just creating prompts that kind of like lead me in the direction of things that I really need in my life at the moment. Is helping a lot, and this is like definitely pushing me in a great direction. I'm also considering reading Don Miguel Ruiz's other book, The Mastery of Love. I heard great things about that too, and I would not mind being able to master love. He actually does mention the mastery of love as one of the Toltec, I guess, lessons that the four agreements is also part of. Now, I did not get around to reading any of these. I haven't gotten like a few pages. Like, I've kind of read a little bit of Harry Potter before, like probably like the first 2 chapters, but I definitely want to just read from the beginning and finish the entire book. And I still have not finished. I still haven't started Excellence as yet. And within these 2 weeks, I went out and got the 4th issue of Excellence. and I'm looking forward to starting that. I'm just like, I just really want to read these a lot. I decided that being that these two books are stories about magic, I'm thinking for September I'm going to read Excellence and Harry Potter, Siege and Storm, and Children of Blood and Bone. But I'm thinking for September I am going to read all of these books for just have like a magic, just all about magic, you know, and just read about magic because I really want to. If I don't read any of these for September, I will probably push that over for another month. As a matter of fact, I should probably read in October because October is Halloween and it's a good time to read about magic, so why not? I do still have to finish these 3 books, so maybe I'll finish these in September and then get around to like all the magic books for October. That'll be my kind of Halloween celebration. I had a great time with POC-a-thon and Mythathon because they really got me into reading some really exciting books, some really good books. I feel like they are starting off my second half of the year in a really good place, and I intend to continue that streak of reading really good books. So I had a good time. I hope other people had a great time out there reading for POC-a-thon and Mythathon. I'm out this bitch like Fleek.